we see that all the curses that David HaMelech cursed Yoav with, they all came back to David HaMelech and his children. And from here we see Chazal explain why this curse came back to him. It doesn't make a difference the reason why right now, but the actual fact, when a person is born, he doesn't understand why a curse can come back to him. But we're soon going to see in the words of the Zohar that depends on Is Ratzon, the right time. It depends on the right time. There are malachim, we call them malachi video malachim, and they watch everything goes on in this world. Now today in this world, with technological developments, we can understand this, that there are such things. Like right now, this shir is being recorded, and afterwards people can watch it on the internet and other things like that. Now, same thing, everything that's happening in the whole world is being watched by these malachim. And the reason is that every single neshama, after it dies, after the body dies, he's shown the video of its life. And show this is what you did and this is what you did, and then you sign on the things that you did, and these things are revealed in Shemaim. There's no way to hide these things from Hashem. And these malachim, at the right time, they're able to take the curse and to bring it to fulfillment against the one who said the curse. And sometimes we see that it does work on the one who was cursed. This is Avimelech. Avimelech, after his father died, there were 70 children there. Of his father, 70 children. And he tried to get the kingship. And he said, should it be better that 70 people should rule over you? I should rule over you. I'm just one of them. I should rule over you. And he spoke to them and he convinced them. In short, nobody thought that Avimelech would do this thing, what he's about to do, and he goes and he shechts, he kills all of his brothers, 70 people. He only saves one. Only one of them is saved. Yosem is saved. Now 3 years later, the Sultan came between Avimelech and the house of Shem, and he went and he fought against them, and a woman who held some item, threw it on his head and crushed his skull. And with his last kochos, he asked one of the young people to take out his sword and to kill him, so that people should not say that a woman killed him. And at the end, the Tanakh says, all the evil that Shem did, Hashem brought back upon them, and the klala of Yosem came onto them. And here we see that this klala actually hit those people who he cursed. We see here two sides. Sometimes the klala goes back to the person who curses, and sometimes the klala goes to where it was intended. You know what happened with Bilam was something very interesting, was that the klala turned into a bracha. It did not come back to anyone, but the klala itself was actually turned into a bracha. And this is a very interesting mitzias that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made in the world. We see three divisions. We have to understand that there's a higher involvement in this. Involvement of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this. There's a certain Navi who spoke about Klal Yisrael, and the Gemara says, he cursed Klal Yisrael, and the Gemara says that these klalos were actually better than the brachas of Bilam, because it came from the depths of his heart. Actually, for sure turns to the best. There's one more thing that we have to really understand, one more level deep, is the curse of a Talmid Chacham. From this a person must be very careful about, since the Talmid Chacham uses his mouth, and this is his main tool. And Talmud Chacham, he's supposed to turn his mouth into a vessel of service to Hashem, like the vessels that were used in the Beis Hamikdash. These were vessels that are also to take out of the Beis Hamikdash. So it's a Kli Kodesh. Now Talmud Chacham is Mekadesh his mouth, and he makes it like a Kli Shos. This is something that's very important to understand. Who has the power of bracha? To which person should we go to ask him to bless us? Someone who's davuk to Kodesh Baruch Hu, but the one person who uses his mouth for the best, he's the one we should go to. A person who curses other people, even if he's right, his mouth has no power, because his mouth has been messed up, has been destroyed, and the vessel that the bracha is made is not able to be made with that vessel. Now, if you were to make an omelet, if you dirty the omelet, you won't be able to make you dirty the pan, you won't be able to make an omelet afterwards. The omelet would come out dirty. It's very hard after a person dirtying his mouth to actually have a bracha, even if these curses were actually justified. Now, Talmidei Chachamim should not go and curse, but there must be something very extreme in order to bring them to say a curse. But here, the curse of a Talmid Chacham, it says Kilas Chacham Afil Tanai. Even on condition, if a Chacham curses, it becomes fulfilled. Even if he says if so and such, then there will be a curse, and such never happened. Even so, the curse is fulfilled. And the fact that he actually said it from his mouth, and since he has tremendous hashgacha upon himself because he is a Talmid Chacham, it could become fulfilled, even though the condition that he said did not become fulfilled. And the most obvious, most classic example is the example of Moshe Rabbeinu. And he said, if not, please remove me from the Sefer, if you don't forgive Klal Yisrael. And Hashem was mochel because of what Moshe Rabbeinu said. But still we see that when Moshe Rabbeinu said that, there actually became a parsha in the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu was not mentioned. One parsha. And it's Parshas Tetzaveh. Because a kilas chacham, a curse of a chacham, even on a tanai, even a condition, even on himself, becomes fulfilled. And also Yehuda, when he came and he said to his father that he'll be responsible for bringing Yosef back to him. And he said, if not, all sorts of bad things should come to me, he said. And the whole time that the bones were in the Aron before they came to Eretz Yisrael, they were rattling, they were making noise, until Moshe Rabbeinu davened that Hashem should be Mochel Yehuda. Also here, since he did it on condition, and he was one of the great people in Klal Yisrael, it became fulfilled, even though it was on condition, and the condition did not become fulfilled. Also by Achitofel. Achitofel was very wise. David HaMelech was machshiv Achitofel like his Rebbe, since he taught him a number of halachas. So it was a certain honor that he had to give to his Rav, even though he only learned a few halachas. But his advice were very exact. And Achitofel got angry at David HaMelech because Bathsheba was a descendant of Achitofel, his granddaughter, and he was upset at what David HaMelech did with Bathsheba, and he searched after him and tried to hurt him. And when he was able to rebel against David HaMelech, he did. And he gave all sorts of good advice for the rebellion to be successful. But there was a certain spy that was on David HaMelech's side, and David HaMelech's spy tried to convince the one who was rebelling against Achitophel's advice. And Achitophel understood that everything was going to fall apart because they weren't listening to his advice, so he went and he killed himself. He strangled himself, he hung himself, and he died. And the Gemara Maseches Makos says, he even comes for free. How do we know this from Achitophel? The Gemara says that David HaMelech made the preparations for the building the Beis HaMikdash. And there was the digging that they have to do, the foundations. When you dig in the area of the Beis HaMikdash, in Har Bais, that's where the place where the world was founded from. After, when Hashem created that place, He created it from there, and that was called the Even Shtia, not from the word shtia, to drink, but from the word foundation, hushtat, to be founded, and that's where the Tehom is. That's where when the stone, there was no place to put it, so where did they put it on? It was the first thing that was put in the world, and it's Kivyochel standing on top of the Tehom. And when David HaMelech dug there to uncover the foundations of the Beis HaMikdash, to make the foundations, the water started flowing out, and he saw that all of Yerushalayim would be flooded. And the same thing with when the third Beis HaMikdash is built, there will be an opening again of the original of that water, and it'll go. Part of it will go to Yam HaMelech, and part of it will go to the ocean, to the big ocean, Mediterranean, and along the way, all sorts of trees will be sprouting in that area, in both directions. It'll be a lot of water. A lot of water will come out from there. David HaMelech was afraid that this water was going to flood all of Yerushalayim. So he said, who knows how to write the name on a pottery and to throw this name into the Tehom so that the water would stop coming out. And if there's a heter, when you write something on cheres, and then it'll be erased, and then cheres is clay. And he had a question: is it mutter to throw it into the Tehom in order to stop this water from flooding? And he said, someone who knows this, who knows the secret, how to stop the water, and to write the shame to write the name of Hashem on the pottery, and doesn't tell me, he'll be strangled. And Achitophel said to himself, there's a case where a husband thinks that his wife is going against her, and it was mutter to bring the wife to the Beis HaMikdash and give her from the bitter waters, and if she was a sota, then she would die. A very difficult death. Her stomach would swell, and her yerach would fall. And what did they do to stop this? How they make the Maimarim? How they create this? How they make this? They wrote Hashem's name with the whole parasha of the Sota, and they mixed it up with some of the dust from the Beis HaMikdash. And what happened with the clef is they dissolved it in the water. And we see from here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is maskim for Hashem's name to be destroyed in order for there to be shalom bais between a husband and his wife. Everything is dependent on shalom bais, all the children, raising children, and people that curse each other. It's very hard for them to live together. I get all sorts of telephone calls about these things where one person can't stand the curses of the other, and this brings even to divorce, chas v'shalom, sometimes. And he asked Achitophel if you're allowed to throw this type of cloth into. And we know, Achitophel thought to himself, we know we're allowed to write this cloth and put it into Mesota when this water is coming to destroy all of people of Yerushalayim. For sure you're allowed to write Hashem's name. That's how he decided you're allowed to write Hashem's name and put it inside the water, even if it's going to be destroyed. Now, even though this was a curse on Tanai, David HaMelech did not mean to curse him. He actually brought he answered David HaMelech. He didn't hide it for himself. In the end, Achitophel's advice was not accepted, and then he killed himself and he strangled himself. And just like David HaMelech said, that the one who who knows and doesn't say will be strangled. This person, Achitophel, got strangled in that. Also Elisha Novi. Elisha Novi said to the king, at the time when there was a large army surrounding the city, and it was very clear that the city was about to fall, and there was a great famine inside the city. Elisha said to the king, the next day there's going to be very, very cheap food in Shomron. It looks like Shomron was about to disappear, it was about to go. And money didn't mean anything to them, all they wanted was food. And he said tomorrow there's going to be such plenty that a large measure of flour is going to be 1 shekel, it's going to be very, very cheap. And there was a person, a servant that was standing there. I said, "What are you talking about? What kind of things are you saying? Hashem's going to make openings in the heaven that the food should be so cheap?" So Elisha Hanavi says to the servant, he says, "You're going to see with your eyes, but you're not going to get any pleasure from these things, and you won't eat anything from there." In the end, a number of Mitzurim, people at Saras, came out, and Hashem brought all sorts of fear on the Goyim, and the Goyim ran away, and they left all the food right there. And the Mitzurim ate some things and came back and said, "Listen, told everybody, listen, all the Goyim ran away and left all sorts of things." And Elisha was right, that everything, since there was so much food from the camps of Midian, the prices of food went down tremendously. And the person who was standing there at the gate, when everyone heard, when everyone heard that there was so much food outside, he tried to stop all the people from running out. And they trampled him. Everyone was hungry. And they trampled him. He saw it, but he did not get any pleasure from it. And this curse, the curse of Elisha,